So, you talked about the elephant in the room. And as we get closer to wrapping things up, I wanted to try to address the elephant in the room. And for me, that's the Me Too movement. So before 3%, there was the Ad Women of New York, which is now 3, she runs it. And they now have Exclusive 100. And after 3%, there was
Inclusive 100.
Inclusive 100. Oops. And after 3%, there was Me Too,
Yeah.
and then Time's Up, and then Time's Up Advertising. So all of these organizations and movements share things in common, of course. I would say that I don't think any of them have the same consistent and focused leadership that 3% has had. How do you see the role of 3% playing out in this landscape? Or maybe I could say, sort of, what do you think your next step is?
Yeah. So one of the most inspiring things that we've done in the last 2 years is we created a training for men. And men at this moment of Me Too there's a lot of spotlight for men on what not to do and all the ways they've messed up and all the ways they can feel wrong or that they need to apologize, which is appropriate. But there's very little spotlight on what leadership can and should look like for men, what 21st century leadership looks like, what true allyship looks like, what those young boys from Regis High School on our stage just somehow naturally, either through good parenting or the culture or their school, they understand. And one of the boys said, "It occurred to me I should care about something that doesn't impact me directly." I mean, that is a very sophisticated thought for a young man to have. But men, the men that we've met with through the men's training, it's such a powerful moment to sit and create a safe space where we can talk about how uncertain this time feels for men, and then we can actually talk about things that have happened at that agency, situational things, and get very specific. Is this creepy? Is this clueless? Or is this criminal? And then how do you actually show up as a male ally in that moment? You dress rehearse it, so the next time there's an opportunity to be an ally, you're prepared. And the minute there's a distinct change that happens where men realize there's stakeholders here. They're not, they're not the problem. They're actually a huge part of the opportunity for healing and for change. And that to me is the next heartbeat of the Me Too movement, is helping men see and helping men help other men. I mean, I tell this story often. I have 2 sons. One is 21 and one is 17. When they were maybe 13 and 17, we were out to dinner as a family, and my younger son said something just mildly sexist. And I opened my mouth to say something, and my older son goes, "I got this, Mom." And he very gently guided his brother. And I was like, that is a beautiful embodiment of what, and this transcends men. This is like white people need to call other white people out on the stuff they're doing. But we all have to raise our awareness about, intention versus impact. Well-meaning guys who believe they're allies, and to find out that the impact they might have had in the workforce was negative, or conversation needs to happen. There needs to be an opportunity for people to talk about, I didn't realize I had done that. I didn't think about how that would make someone feel, or that I had excluded someone, and then to commit to what you'll do differently next time. That to me is absolutely the next 10 years' work, while still centering survivors and letting women and other people who have been victimized have healing and feel safe again. I mean, they're the most important, and then getting everyone else in line around what does psychological safety look like, feel like? How can all of us contribute to it better than we are today?
I think it's really interesting, the focus on men being so important, and it is important. It's really important. I think it's gotten a little bit lost in the overall movements as they've combined.
Men, it's time to stop empowering women. Because empowerment isn't nearly strong enough. It's the subtle lie that tells us all that women aren't powerful. It's not a message of equality, but inequality.
Empowerment literally means to give someone authority or power. But who's giving women power? And why would they ask for it in the first place?
If culture has taught us anything, it's that women are already powerful. We've witnessed a woman win the popular vote and paid respect to those who made it possible.
We've seen women band together to create a movement that demands respect for their bodies and accountability for all, no matter how powerful.
We've seen them march. We've heard them sing. We've stood in solidarity with and in awe of Nikki Haley's confidence, T. Swift's influence, Emma Gonzalez's commitment, and in doing so, we've been led by them.
As men, our job isn't to empower women. We can't give them what they already have, what they have earned, what they deserve. Our job is to recognize and celebrate the power that's inherent to them.
That's why the 3% movement has called all men to be men. A program for men who wrestle with what it means to be an inclusive leader in 2019 and beyond.
More than allies, we want to create empathy in a more inclusive world and workplace. We want to create a more human, equal corporate culture.
Through conversation, courage, and vulnerability, we will create a new normal with a truly even playing field where words like empowerment are no longer needed.
Because everyone, regardless of gender, race, religion, sexual orientation, or political persuasion, already has real power.
Do you see any ways that these organizations could be working more closely together, partnering? I mean, is there anything that you can see kind of looking out of this landscape?
It's funny to be sitting here today because I just got back last night from CES in Las Vegas. And while I was there were two convenings I attended around diversity. And I met with Christina Pyle from Time's Up Advertising, and Facebook was there, and Procter & Gamble was there, and Tiffany Warren from AdColor was there, and Lynn Brannigan from She Runs It. And we were all meeting to try to create some kind of coalition and toolkit where we can support one another and make it easy for companies that are wanting to do better to figure out. There's so many options out there, and it's to figure out, which ones to engage with. Free the Bid, they were there, So it's just starting to happen that there are enough entities that are all dedicated to the same thing but approaching it from a different angle, and we're starting to link elbows and be like, we need to be, aligned. And I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, I think this is an incredible moment in history, honestly. I'm very optimistic.